division at matinee rates. I know a big-budget beauty with impeccable taste. She'll get you what you need to put a smile on your face with just the right blend of leather and lace. Madam Grindhouse is gonna be your guide to a weird, wild, wonderful world we're taking inside. Step right up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. She's here to provide Madam Grindhouse.
Hello, my little sprocket friends and cinematic masochists. It's me, Madam Grindhouse, your cinematrix of the silver screen. So tonight, we're going to talk about one of the most venerable institutions in the history of independent cinema. A studio famous for its completely ass-backward way of making movies, bizarre use of gore, sex, comedy, and horror, and unbelievably, launching the careers of some of the biggest names in Hollywood right now, including Vincent D'Onofrio and James Gunn. Let's talk about Troma. Founded in 1974 by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz, Troma came about because of Kaufman's long-standing desire since college to make movies, and Hertz's desire to get into the business as well. Kaufman had worked on various Hollywood productions in a variety of behind-the-scenes positions, including location manager for 70s classics like Rocky and Saturday Night Fever. After Troma was founded, it largely served as a distributor for various low- and no-budget movies. It produced a few films in the early days, but these were mostly flops and financial disasters. After they achieved some stability, they turned to making sex comedies, producing 4 with Kaufman and Hertz directing. But their big break came because of 2 things. The rise of home video, which meant they were able to provide literally hundreds of titles for video stores who were starved for product, and their most famous creation, the Toxic Avenger. But tonight, we're going to talk about Troma's other in-house superhero. While making the Toxic Avenger Part 2, the movie was partially shot in Japan, and during that time Troma entered into a partnership with Namco. Yeah, the video game company that created Pac-Man. Kaufman had gotten an idea for a Kabuki-themed character while working on Toxie 2, and after mentioning this idea to one of the Japanese producers of the movie, it turned out that he had connections at Namco and knew they were interested in making a Kabuki-themed character as well that could be mass-marketed. To make a long story short, a partnership was reached, and after deciding to make the new character older in order to differentiate it from Toxie, the result was Sergeant Kabukiman, N.Y.P.D. And if you think having Troma involved in a production that Namco was hoping would lead to an easily marketable mascot-type character is a horrible idea that can only lead to disaster, you are definitely familiar with Troma's style of filmmaking. Let's look at Sergeant Kabukiman, N.Y.P.D. The movie wastes no time in dropping the premise of the movie on us as we see an elderly kabuki actor, played by Troma's alleged Japanese culture consultant, Fumio Furuya, and his granddaughter Lotus, played by Susan Bayan, as they pray to the ancient ancestors of awkward exposition dumps.
At the end of Mercury's next journey, the dragon shall dance through the hoop of Jupiter. If at that moment the monkey will ride the jaguar, and the tiger will feast on the nubile, the order of the universe will be such that the evil one will reign supreme for eternity. There is only one being who can confront the evil one. The chosen one is on his way to us now.
Yeah, get used to hearing this over and over again, gang. They love to repeat the prophecy. Anyway, Lotus's grandfather is apparently the current Kabukiman, but he's getting too old for the job. And while Lotus wants the job, Grandpa is a sexist bastard and won't pass the power to her, instead giving it to another younger dude. Okay, it's not quite that cut and dry why Lotus can't inherit the powers of Kabukiman. While Kabuki theater was founded by women in the feudal era of Japan, in the mid-1600s women were banned from performing in Kabuki plays. The reason given was worries over licentiousness, since many female Kabuki performers were also prostitutes. However, some historians believe that that was just an excuse because the nobility didn't like the fact that Kabuki theater crossed all social classes and entertained and employed a variety of people from all walks of life. The ban on women performing was officially lifted sometime during the Meiji era, roughly from 1868 to 1912, but by that point nearly 300 years of tradition had kicked in, and while women could and still perform in kabuki plays, most troupes remain either male or female only. So with all that in mind, it's not surprising Grandpa won't let Lotus take on the powers of Kabukiman. I mean, then it would be Kabuki Woman, which would be honestly really awesome. Still sexist though. And as for the new guy meant to take on the role...
Bye-bye, Kabukiman.
Well, shit. What do we do now?
Tonight, sweetheart, too bad because you're going to be the hit on Broadway.
Wow! That poster of the New York skyline on the wall turned into an actual window. Ill-defined kabuki magic or just shitty editing? You make the call. After the title, we meet our hero. Dollar Store Harrison Ford here is Sergeant Harry Griswold, played by Vic Gianassi. Oh yeah, I should probably clarify something. The Troma method of filmmaking is not necessarily getting the best shot for the scene, but more doing whatever they can to get the movie made, and if that includes mangling the script to get a shot or location they happen to find during production, adding a lot of goofy voiceover and sound effects in post-production, or just making a lot of shit up on the fly, that's what they do. Somehow they manage to get most of their movies into something coherent in post-production, but it also leads to a lot of general weirdness and a lot of tonal whiplash. Just be ready for some scenes and decisions made in this movie to make very little sense. Since the cops found the dead woman holding a pair of tickets to an amateur kabuki theater production of The Odd Couple, Harry's been sent to the performance to see how it's related to the case. And I guess this is one of the hot tickets in town for the rich and powerful.
Tonight, we are fortunate to focus our spotlight of glamour on Mr. Reginald Stewart, New York billionaire businessman and philanthropist.
What the hell is that accent? Sounds like someone kicked an Australian in the crotch while trying to do a New Zealand accent. What? Excuse me for just a minute.
One of those things is wrong. It's enough.
Wait, what? Seriously? That was a thing? Jesus, the 80s sucked. Okay. I have just been informed that the accent is because the actor is trying, and failing, to do an impression of Robin Leach, who is apparently the host of a show in the 80s called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, where he would go visit obnoxiously wealthy assholes and fawn over their shit. And this show is probably the reason the people in this country even know certain dim-witted rich man-babies existed, and why those same man-babies are in high-powered government positions right now! Anyway, it just so happens that Grandpa is one of the performers and is apparently preparing to pass on the spirit of Kabukiman. Dude, learn to eat sauerkraut properly. The show goes on. Lotus begs Grandpa to let her take on the powers of Kabukiman, but he brushes her off because, as I said, Grandpa's a traditional kabuki performer with all the inherent sexism that implies.
Hey, stop it!
Honestly, I kind of want to see a full performance of The Odd Couple as a kabuki play. Be a hell of a lot better than some productions I've seen. Unfortunately, this specific performance isn't going to end well, as should become obvious when billionaire Reginald Stewart and his entourage leave the performance suspiciously early.
Great, huh? A lot better than I expected. Everybody freeze! Police!
No, you missed!
How could you miss? He was 3 feet in front of you!
I swear, if it turns out Edgar's the one infesting this place with memes, I'm going to raise his rent so high! As Rembrandt, the lead goon with the stupid blonde wig we saw earlier, tries to get the kabuki powers transferred to him, Lotus jumps in and fucks his shit up until he manages to throw her off. Harry does a pretty sweet Kirk roll into her, and shooting the guy who's about to shoot her. However, Lotus does not appreciate this one bit.
Remove yourself from my body, you filthy oaf!
Yeah, this relationship is going exactly where you think it is, as is most of the movie, really. Since Grandpa's dying and still won't give the powers to Lotus, he transfers them to Harry. And because this is Troma in the very early 90s, of course they basically have to kiss to do it. Because as we all know, back then women kissing women was hot, but men kissing men was either gross or funny. Yeah, the 90s also sucked. So yeah, this is your basic reluctant superhero story. Harry gets powers he has no idea how to control, much less use, which is going to fuel most of the comedy going forward. Such as his clothes suddenly becoming a traditional kabuki costume and him spouting random Japanese phrases. And of course, being embarrassed by this in front of the other cops, including his boss, Captain Bender.
Freeze!
That was the kind of boss Captain Bender was. Always around when things were going wrong.
Just in case it isn't clear to anyone that Stewart is the bad guy yet, we go to his office where he's chewing out Rembrandt and gets a visit from Reverend Snipes, who's on the take from Stewart and has a problem with another N.Y.P.D. officer investigating him for misuse of funds from his youth centers. But Stewart quickly reasserts who the fuck's in charge here when his nephew Skipper, who is supposed to take the rap for what happened at the theaters, shows up and gets uppity.
Use the magazine. He's getting blood all over my new carpet. Are you ready for the major leagues, Reverend? Good.
Meanwhile, Harry gets home to his apartment and Jesus Christ, Harry, what are you, a Milwaukee divorced dad? I haven't seen that many beer cans in one place since I moved out of my parents' house. Granted, most of them were in my room, but still. Okay, I get this movie was made in 1990, but even back then there was a hell of a lot better ways to do this kind of effect, even if you were on a low budget. Harry heads into work the next day and asks fellow detective LaRosa out for dinner, but she has to be in court that night. Instead, she invites him to go jogging with her later at the park. On the flip side of that coin, he gets called into Captain Bender's office, who informs him that the 4 guys he shot were all Stewart's security men. And when Bender shows him Skipper's mugshot, Harry insists that he wasn't the one behind the shooting. On top of that, Lotus has come to the station ostensibly about her grandfather's murder, and Harry is sent to talk to her. Oh, and Bender's putting Harry on a new assignment.
You have a very important new assignment, the Goldberg dry cleaning case. I'm taking Joseph off and I'm putting you on it.
Goldberg dry cleaners? Those 3 stupid stolen shirts?
It's 4, and they're my stupid stolen shirts. Now get to it!
Harry meets with Lotus in the interrogation room, and if it looks like this scene is blocked and filmed slightly better, that's because Lloyd Kaufman allowed Rick Gianassi to get some directing experience with this scene, and frankly, it's the best shot part of the entire movie. In fact, let me say this about Gianassi as an actor. He is not a great vocal performer, but his physical acting throughout this movie is top-notch. You'll see what I mean as we go on. Honestly, dude probably should have been a professional wrestler. Lotus insists Harry eat another box of the worms, supposedly to complete the transfer process, but Harry, naturally, thinks she's out of her goddamn mind, which isn't helped by Lotus's attitude during the interrogation, and her repeating of the prophecy from earlier. Later, at the park, Harry meets up with LaRosa, and we find out she's the detective investigating Snipes, and exactly what his racket is.
You know all those wonderful youth centers he's got set up all over town? Well, it just so happens that he's using it as a front for a major drug operation. And he's got this huge corporation, Stuart Pandex, paying for the whole thing.
Stuart Pandex? As in Reginald Stewart?
LaRosa heads off to do a couple more laps while Harry recovers, but a bunch of Stewart's goons haul her off. Harry hears her screams and rushes to the rescue. Well, that's unusual, seeing a cop getting beat up rather than doing the beating. However, it seems the powers of Kabukiman are finally manifesting as Harry's sandals fly to the fight and distract the goons long enough for him to get loose, and then the transformation happens.
Kabukiman Sanjo.
Well, that guy's fucking dead. Ah, now that's more traditional policing. Back on track. Lotus shows up while Harry checks on LaRosa, and after he's confirmed his identity to the cops, the two of them go to a restaurant where the established backstory gets established. Again.
Soon the dragon will dance through the hoop of Jupiter. If at that moment the monkey will ride the jaguar and the tiger will feast on the nubile.
Girl, we know. This is the third damn time you've said it. Although, again, to give this movie some credit, I do like that the sound mix is set up to prioritize the dialogue over the music or sound effects. I can actually understand what the actors are saying in every scene, even if a lot of the dialogue ends up being redundant. Snipes shows up on the restaurant's TV, which reveals he bailed out the goons from the park and is placing the blame for everything on Harry and the media. Stewart is also watching the broadcast and is not happy about it.
Publicity hungry jackass!
Stewart sends Rembrandt to kill La Rosa, which he does by changing her morphine dosage to a lethal level, but given that the staff at this hospital seems to be incompetent morons, it's likely that this would have happened anyway.
My goodness, that's a lot of morphine the doctor's prescribed. Oh well, doctor knows best.
Harry arrives only to find La Rosa dead, and while he's able to link Snipes and Stewart in what's been going on, Bender won't listen and tells Harry that all the Kabukiman nonsense has attracted the wrong kind of attention from the city and the media, and that Harry's on thin ice with him. Harry, being a cop in the 90s movie, won't let it go, of course, and heads out to confront Snipes. And just in case you had any sympathy for Snipes and anything he said during this movie...
But from what I hear, she was dressed pretty hot. Maybe she was in the park looking for a little action detective.
Same old bullshit. Clothing is not consent, asshole! You know, I think I've pretty well established I think cops can go fuck themselves, but I'll give Harry that one. The goons move in to pound Harry into paste, but he summons his kabuki powers. Unfortunately, it does not work out the way he planned.
Quit clowning with us, asshole.
What follows for the next 6 minutes is a protracted car chase as the goons chase Harry through the city, complete with assorted clown-related gags which, honestly, aren't that funny. Although it does give us the origins of a Troma hallmark. And now you know where most of the budget went for this movie. But you can't say they haven't gotten their money's worth out of that stunt. This car flip footage has been worked into every in-house produced Troma film for the last 30 plus years, which makes it even funnier as it becomes harder and harder to find a car that remotely looks like this one as time goes on. I guess they blew them all up trying to recreate it. And if I'm being honest, it's a bad sign that I'm more invested in finding Captain Bender's shirts than anything having to do with stopping the evil one at this point.
Mr. Goldberg, Detective Harry Griswold. I need to ask you a few questions about the shirt robbery.
Harry gets suspended naturally, and finally decides to take Lotus seriously, eating the worms, thankfully off camera since he can't even handle fucking sauerkraut, and coming to see her for training on how to use his powers. Lotus also has a pet monkey.
I like a dog-faced monkey that has an appreciation for expensive sports cars.
If we had more time, we could build the foundations of the relationship on mutual respect and trust. As it is, it will be easier to work with fear and pain.
Please be my teacher and administer as much pain as you like, girl. You know, some guys would pay a small fortune for that kind of treatment, just saying. So we have the usual kung fu movie-style training bit where the whole pointless, bordering on torturous, mundane task is invoked, but Harry's not having any of it, and he's just as tired of hearing the prophecy as we are.
If you are not prepared by the time the dragon
And the monkeys and the jaguars will jump rope and go to brunch.
Shit, Harry, where do you get brunch at? That sounds amazing. But luckily for both of them, there's another way for a pupil and a teacher to form a bond of respect. College again. My calculus professor and I still keep in touch. What? Meanwhile, Stewart and his cronies are making their own plans and preparing for the evil one's returns.
Griswold must be eliminated. Everyone associated with Griswold must be eliminated.
Yeah, aside from Lotus, the number of people associated with Harry is exactly 0, so not that much of a threat, really. Now that they've gotten their shit together, Lotus and Harry are finally able to get Harry to manifest his powers correctly. Gee, that only took 69 minutes. Nice. Of this 104-minute movie. Less nice. What the fuck were the filmmakers thinking having it take so damn long?
Look around you. What do you see?
I see crime. I see poverty. I see evil everywhere. I see a power elite of corporate money mongers controlling our brains and our destinies while they dismantle the sacred foundations of the Bill of Rights.
So nice to know nothing's changed in the past 30 plus years. Nice montage. Wish it could have lasted longer than the damn clown car chase. Say that 4 times fast. After the montage, we're back at Snipes' church where the goons are cleaning everything out. After Harry manages to keep him and Lotus from being blown up at his apartment, they go to the church, where Harry uses his new powers to deal with them and learns a couple of new ones as well.
I'm scared of heights, all right?
Would have been nice to know that in advance instead of at the last minute, movie. Wow, flying's easy when you have a cape to cover the cart you're lying on and can position a camera to keep the wires out of frame in other shots. Anyway, through the power of flight and cheap camera tricks, Harry gets Snipes to confess to being involved with Stewart and gets it on tape. Hey, wait a minute, this is a trauma movie. There should have been a completely gratuitous sex scene by now. Once again, I would like to remind everyone watching on YouTube that donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/dubiouscon gets you exclusive access to the uncut and unedited version of this series, including all the completely gratuitous sex scenes YouTube won't let us show, as well as early release of mine and many other videos. Just $1 a month goes a long way and gets you all of this and more. And it keeps the Roxy opened. And it pays the mouthpiece. So please, donate lots and lots of money. So after the completely gratuitous sex scene, Harry transforms into Kabukiman and heads off to turn the tape of Snipes' confession over to the cops. Meanwhile, Stewart is getting everything set up for the return of the evil one at the docks.
We got the tiger, and we haven't fed him, just like you said.
Oh, just play Ode to Joy and he'll calm right down. Oh wait, wrong movie. Harry comes back to Lotus's apartment, but she's gone and Rembrandt is waiting for him.
Kabuki pig! Your powers are useless without a woman's love!
Movie, you have dumped so much exposition on us and repeated the damn prophecy multiple times, and only now, with less than 20 minutes left in the movie, you're explaining how Kabukiman's powers work? You couldn't have cut some of the damn clown chase to fit this in earlier? Harry's powers deactivate, but that's okay since Harry still has his gun and just shoots Rembrandt in the head. Lotus's monkey leads him to the docks where Lotus is being set up as the nubile the tiger is supposed to feast on. He manages to take out Stewart's goons and rescue Lotus through sheer dumb luck. And that dumb luck continues when Captain Bender and the other cops arrive to save both of them from Stewart. Really impressive since I don't recall him calling for backup. And while it seems everything is going to be fine, Stewart's henchwoman Felicia gets away from the cops, and Stewart orders the guy handling the tiger to let it loose so it can feast on her instead. This starts the fulfillment of the damn prophecy, and the evil one begins to manifest itself through Stewart. It's a cool costume, to be fair, but it's also clear the actor inside can't see a damn thing and is pretty much immobile, which doesn't really help much in making this feel like an actual climax. I mean, you can be immobile and still climax, but it usually takes a lot of effort on your partner's part and... never mind. Anyway, Lotus kisses Harry to trigger another transformation. Meanwhile, the dragon dances through the hoop of Jupiter, leaving only one more element of the prophecy left.
Get away from the jaguar!
Yeah, this is happening. But not for long, because as Harry fights, kind of, with the evil one, Lotus gets her damn monkey out of the car, averting the prophecy and causing the evil one to blow the fuck up.
And may the good Lord take a liking to you and blow you up real good.
And now the damn memes are repeating. I'm going to get a refund on that exterminator. Harry survives, of course, and since it'll be another 1,000 years before the evil one can return, he and Lotus go out to work as New York's newest superheroes.
Oh, Lotus, help me! Do something! Oh my God, we're gonna crash! Look out! Get out of the way!
God help New York. So this movie is kind of unique among Troma films in that it didn't really make anyone invested in it happy. Lloyd Kaufman had chalked this up to his own inability to commit to one singular vision for the project. Namco wanted a family-friendly character that could be marketed in other media, but Kaufman himself kept inserting the usual exploitative and shock elements Troma movies are known for, over the objections of the Japanese producers, the cast, and even his partner Michael Hertz. And while there was a PG-13 cut made, the resulting movie pretty much convinced Namco to get out of business with Troma. And on Troma's end, their hardcore fanbase felt that the movie didn't go far enough with the gore, sex, gross-out gags, and general sleaze they'd come to expect, resulting in a movie that, while not completely terrible by Troma standards, wasn't really one of their more successful projects. About the only things that have resulted from this movie were Kabukiman's appearances in other Troma projects, including Kabukiman's Cocktail Corner, a web series that was pretty well received, and a 5-minute animated pilot by Deke Entertainment for a potential cartoon series, much like how the Toxic Avengers begat Toxic Crusaders, but nothing came of that. There have apparently also been plans for years for a sequel, but the most recent effort, a project entitled Kabukiman Returns, seems to have stalled out with the untimely passing of Doug Sackman, who played Kabukiman in many Troma projects throughout the 2000s and 2010s. But honestly, while the movie is very silly and poorly paced, taking way too long to get to the point where Harry fully becomes Kabukiman, I found that its normal unrated cut actually serves as a pretty good entry point for anyone who isn't familiar with Troma movies in general. It's less extreme than other movies in their library, but still has the throw everything in a blender, chuck it at the wall, and see what sticks attitude Troma is known for. I've shown this movie to plenty of people who saw the appeal of the aesthetic and quickly became Troma fans. I'd say give it a watch if you're curious, and you might find yourself setting up residence in Tromaville before you know it. Next time, it's February, and we start a new tradition here at the Roxy, Blaxploitation History Month, with probably the most well-known entry in that storied subgenre. It may not have been the first, but it's widely considered one of the best. So join me next time as I continue to show you what lurks on the other side of the silver screen.